This is the Derya TM22 A18, or in other words, the original, the normal one. Now this one is very slightly different, actually a little substantially different, in that I have a top charging handle on it from Alex's Homebrew. If you want to look at the review for that, you can go check it out. A link in the description is available. But that charging handle does not affect the functionality of it, besides the way that you're charging the rifle. Everything else is the same, the shooting experience and accuracy and all that. So, let's get into it. Things that I have added on the rifle or changed is a regular mil-spec buffer tube. The buffer tube that it comes with is not quite mil-spec. It is ever so slightly larger. I believe it might be the commercial spec, and so my mil-spec thing stock didn't fit, so I had to just swap out the buffer tube. It will take beaver tail AR-15 grips, which is fantastic, so I just have a Magpul MOE on it. I just have some rail covers, some really cheap plastic ones, a Magpul MVG, a couple of pick rail sections at the front, and a linear comp like I always have. Now, as you might have noticed, the controls are not fully ambidextrous. On the right side, you have your magazine release button. Now, because this is a top charging handle, the charging handle is ambidextrous. However, this is the original charging handle that it comes with. However, as you can see, there is nowhere to place it on the right side. It must go on the left side into this little hole right here. Your safety is also only on the left side. Down for fire, up for safe. It is very intuitive to use. However, if you're left-handed, it is slightly less intuitive. The trigger is flat-faced, and it has a definitive wall, but once you move past that wall, there's actually a bit of a mushy take-up, and then it breaks. The break itself is very physically active, like you can feel the trigger break, so that's not a problem. And the reset of the trigger is light, but still noticeable. You should have no problem getting off rapid shots. Now, to test the trigger pull, you can just use one of these trigger testers, and we can see it is just around 4 pounds, which is pretty consistent with what I felt. So with all of that out of the way, how does this TM22, the original, differ from the TM22s that I have already reviewed? Well, for one, the lever action is completely different because it's a lever action. But for two, this one has a metal receiver, and the build quality is very nice. I have absolutely no worries about the build quality of this receiver set versus the other ones. It works very well. However, the magazines have a bit of an interesting quirk. Now, I talked about this in the TM22 standard video, which again, you can check out, links in the description. The TM22 standard uses a new different type of magazine release, which is this rear notch here. But of course, the original one uses just the standard side notch that you see on these mags. And very interestingly, it seems as if the design of the magazine has ever so slightly changed. Now, what do I mean by that? This is the normal one, the one that originally came with the rifles. Now, as you can see, the magazine drops free when the bolt is closed. This one, which has the little notch, which is the new one, and this is the one that came with this rifle. So this magazine came with this rifle. It does not drop free. You have to pull it out in order to retrieve your magazine. Now, another interesting quirk of this is how they operate when the bolt is held back. Now, with TM22s, the way that they work is that when the bolt is, or when you're out of ammo, the bolt will stop on the magazine, which is how all of them work, including the lever action, ironically. But because of the variation in the magazine, you actually have different weights of pulling in order to get the magazine out. So you have to push the button in, bring it forward a tiny bit. You just have to push it forward a tiny bit and pull down. It's pretty damn easy to do with this one. With this magazine, you insert it, you pull it back, and it takes substantially more force in order to pull this one out. I don't know why exactly this is going on, but it is important to note. So, if you are looking to get a TM22 or you already have a TM22 and you see the new style of magazine with the notch at the back, avoid this magazine at all costs. That is, of course, unless you have the TM22 standard, in which you are going to want that one. Now, being a 22LR, of course, the recoil is very minimal and it is very enjoyable to shoot. Now, in terms of accuracy, I'm sorry I wasn't able to get 50-meter accuracy groupings, but I did shoot it at 100 and I did shoot it at 25. I zeroed it at 25 and then used that zero on 100. At 25, it was easily within an MOA. At 100, it was roughly, I would say, 4 plus or minus half an MOA. So, minute of slightly larger than a squirrel at 100 meters. But overall, you should have no problems with accuracy with regards to a 22. And if you want a super accurate 22, I wouldn't look at this anyway. I would look at a bolt action like the Ruger Precision. Again, check out my channel for that one. So, on to the final segment of who is this gun for? Well, of all of the TM22s that I have reviewed so far, this has the broadest market. And the reason I say that is because this is the most AR looking TM22, which is a rarity in Canada at the moment. It has lots of magazine options, right? 10 round, 15 round, and 25 round. Again, the ones without the notch are the best. It takes a large amount of AR accessories, so you can customize it exactly how you want for your comfortability. Now, you can't change the handguard, you can't use AR handguards, but the handguard itself is very well made, and it is smooth all around. So if you like to C-clamp, this is perfect for that, and if you want to use a foregrip, it's also perfect for that. The stock charging handle is the least ideal part of it, and that is simply because it doesn't really feel as good. It works, but it just doesn't feel as good as this top charging handle. This top charging handle is really great. I highly recommend this top charging handle, but you have to go and watch the review of it to see if it fits for what you are looking for. Now, all of that being said, there is one group of people that this is not for, and that is sadly left-handed people. Because of the way the controls are laid out, it is possible to shoot this gun if you are left-handed. I had friends who shot this gun who are left-handed. It's just not ideal. It's very obviously designed for a right-handed shooter, and the safety is the biggest example of that. As you can see, the safety can be actuated with your index finger, but you can't do it like you can on your right hand. When it's on your right hand, you can have your trigger finger ready to slip right onto that trigger the minute that you drop the safety, which is very good for any competition that you're doing, a 22LR, to get the fastest reaction time possible. And it's also much similar to a regular AR where you will have the thumb safety where you immediately flick off and fire a round. As well, the magazine release is very obviously made for a right-handed shooter, being that I can reach it with my index finger. If you are a left-handed shooter, it's not the end of the world. You can, of course, just use your support hand, but it's not the best design ergonomically. So, I can basically recommend this gun to everyone except for left-handed people. I think this is a really good gun for teaching new people to shoot, especially if they're a little bit older. This can be used for teaching younger people, but because it is slightly heavier than the Feather is probably a better choice for the under 10 age group, but they could still use this, especially if it's just placed on a bench. They just probably wouldn't be able to shoulder it effectively until they're at least 10 to 12. But it still can be used for teaching youth. It can be used for teaching anyone how to shoot a firearm because the controls are dead simple. And the rifle can be used thoroughly in any 22LR competition because it has a large amount of magazines available to it, and it can be highly customized to the way that you like. So, that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed all of the TM22 content that I've made. If you want to see any of the other variants, I'll have all the links in the description about each of the different variants. But that is it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.